People are absolutely sleeping on Primal Strikes. This ability is destroying bosses, and you guys know I'm a sucker for a good melee skill. Now it's still really early in this league, so I'm not going to get too in depth with itemization and stuff like that, but I am going to focus on the early game as well as the mid game setup for you guys. So let's start with the early game setup. So first off, when you are just starting your character, your choices are going to be Disengage and Explosive Spear. So let me throw these on real quick. And don't sleep on the Spear Stab either, it's actually quite good for single target. So our first support gems for these are going to be Expedite for the Explosive Spear and Magnified Effect for Disengage. The reason for these is Expedite is going to make our spear explode faster, and Disengage is going to give us more AoE on our Disengage because it kind of has an awkward little AoE, and sometimes you can't get it to hit enemies that you want to hit. So this just helps us a little bit. So early on, the parry is actually extremely useful, and you're going to be using it to set up your Disengage. So let me find some enemies real quick. Keep in mind that I'm in Act 5 right now, so this isn't going to be completely accurate to what you're going to be experiencing. So you get the little red dot on enemies, and that's the parry debuff. So I'm going to get that again. Then we're going to use our Disengage. That's going to give us a frenzy charge and allow us to get a big cross when we throw our explosive spear. Normally when you throw your explosive spear, it's just this tiny little thing, which isn't too bad on its own, but you definitely want to get the frenzy charge if you can. And the Disengage is actually pretty damn strong early on. Also, don't be afraid to use parry during boss fights because it's extremely useful. You can block almost all boss attacks. So that's going to be your initial setup. Once you get a little bit further along, you're going to want to get yourself Stormlance. Now when you throw Stormlance on, the first thing you're going to want to get is a scatter shot. And so now I'm going to find some enemies and show you how this works. So we're throwing down our Stormlance. You can see there's 3 Stormlances in the middle of these enemies, and over time they'll eventually blow up on their own. But if you throw them onto an enemy and then you use your explosive spear, the explosive spear will detonate the Stormlance and cause it to do a bunch of damage. This is going to be your main source of AoE clear. If you happen to have one enemy left over, or you're fighting a boss, you can always use your Spear Stab, and this is actually going to do fairly decent single target damage, especially if you throw some gems in it like Brutality and Pursuit. It's also helpful to always alternate between melee attacks and ranged attacks because you get temporary buffs if you use one or the other. The typical time seems to be 8 seconds. Now this setup alone is going to be able to carry you all the way through the mid game, but eventually you're going to be able to get Primal Strikes, and this is where it really starts getting interesting. At this point in the game, once we've got Primal Strikes on, we're also going to be using Thunderous Leap, and you can replace your Explosive Spear completely with the Thunderous Leap if you want to, because both of them achieve the same thing of detonating your Stormlance. But I will say that Thunderous Leap can sometimes be more dangerous because you're leaping into enemies, so it might be nice to have both of them as an option. We're also adding in Lightning Spear. This is mostly going to be used as a reliable way to add shock onto bosses. We're also going to add Herald of Thunder, and if we can, Combat Frenzy. And in your Combat Frenzy, you can add Profusion. So I'm going to show you how these work, and then I'll go through all of the different support gems I've got in each of them. And if you really want to, you can throw Barrage on, but honestly, I barely use it. Alright, so let's see what the gameplay looks like now. So when we find a group of enemies, we're throwing down our Stormlance, and then we can either leap onto the enemies, and that's going to instantly kill them, or we can throw down our Stormlance, and then again, throw down our Spear, and let the Spear take care of it. I've been almost exclusively using the Thunderous Leap, but then again, I don't really care about dying right now. Now, unfortunately, unless I get a better way to apply shock, Primal Strikes is going to be reserved for bossing, but I would like to get to a point that I can use it exclusively. But here's what a boss fight looks like. As you can see, Primal Strikes does a ton of damage. So let me go through the gems real quick. On Parry, I'm running Unbreakable. On Spear Stab, I'm running Brutality and Pursuit. I still use it sometimes, mostly in between my Primal Strikes, because the way Primal Strikes works is you want to hit twice while the enemy is shocked, because the first 2 hits, as you can see here by clicking on Spirits, are going to be doing a lot of damage, and it's also going to refresh the shock duration on the enemy, so the shock will stay on forever. However, if you hit with the final strike, which is the 3rd hit, you're going to remove the shock, and it does less damage than the Spirit hits. So there's no reason to hit with the final hit. You're just hitting twice, and then you're going to dodge roll, or you can use a Spear Stab in between. I've basically never touched my Spear Throw. I also haven't actively been using Disengage, but I do think it's possible that it might be a good way to break the combo of Primal Strikes without having to use a dodge roll, because I think it's a little bit faster, especially when you get more attack speed. And this Magnified Effect, I actually just throw onto my Herald of Thunder, because why not? Like I said, you can use Explosive Spear. I don't really use it anymore, but it is good if you're trying to be safe, especially something like the Trial of the Sekimas. In that, we're using Expedite. On Stormlance, we're running Scatter Shot. Retreat, and Innervate. Primal Strikes, we're running Close Combat, Concentrated Effect, and Primal Armament. For Thunderous Leap, we're running Martial Tempo, Shocking Leap, and Pin. For our Lightning Spear, we're running Conduction, Lightning Infusion, and Coursing Current. For Herald of Thunder, we're running Magnified Effect, and if you have the Spirit available, you can run Vitality. But it's more important to get Herald of Thunder and Combat Frenzy. For Combat Frenzy, we're running Perfusion, and if you run Barrage, run Premeditation and Perpetual Charge. But realistically, I don't get that much benefit from Barrage. I'll sometimes use it before I use my Lightning Spear in order to just have a better chance of hitting my Shock, but that's about it. For a passive skill tree, we're starting here in the bottom right. Our first 4 Ascension points are going into Predatory Instinct, as well as Critical Strike. Predatory Instinct is what gives you those little notches on the boss health bar, and Critical Strike is really good. It's increasing our base Critical Strike chance based on our excess accuracy. And there's a lot of good synergies on the passive skill tree. If you're starting with this build, I recommend looking at my written guide because I have the exact stuff for the early game, which is a little bit different than the mid game. I'm mostly running the mid game, so take this with a grain of salt and look at the written guides if you're trying to find these specifics. So we're grabbing a bunch of starting damage here. I've got the accuracy because I already have my Ascendancy node. Make sure you get whatever stats you need to hit all of your requirements for gems and gear. I have these nodes here, which are good for accuracy and attack speed. I don't know if these are going to be permanent, but they are nice. This one right here gives a ton of critical damage, but again, I don't know if it'll be a permanent choice because there might be better options. Got a little bit of movement speed and evasion here. Assuming I have the points available, I'll definitely keep that one. We have some attack damage here, a little bit of movement speed and attack speed here. This one synergizes nicely because we're getting attack speed from accuracy. We're getting a whole bunch of crit and damage and attack speed out of these spear nodes here. It's very possible I'll end up going down this way and getting some of these one-handed as well as elemental damage and crit. And I'm also not 100% sure how pinpoint will work with our synergies because it says attacks gain increased accuracy rating equal to their critical hit chance. So I'm assuming this doesn't work back the other direction and give us more critical strike chance because we have more accuracy, or maybe it does. I don't know exactly how that works yet. I'll have to figure it out. Moving up this way, we've got Coming Calamity, which is just giving a nice damage bonus based off of having a Herald of Thunder. I've also got critical strike chance and critical damage here. Once I actually have a jewel, I'll pick up this jewel socket. I'm moving this way right now to grab the enhanced reflexes, but I'm really trying to move over here and get my Falcon technique. That's going to give more attack speed based on dex, which we have quite a bit of in this build. And we're getting dex along here as well. And then this one right here is actually extremely good, I think, because it's 60% increased accuracy at close range, which is a really fat accuracy increase. And we're going to be close range most of the time when we're fighting bosses. From here, I'm going to flesh out the build even more, and I'm going to focus on itemization as I get into the end game. So make sure you guys pay attention and look for my updated guides. I'll make sure to update the written guide, and I'll also put out new videos as I have more info. But right now, this is feeling really good, and I'm actually quite surprised at how good it is. Early game Amazon felt really bad. But of course, once I figured out how to parry accurately and how the abilities actually worked, it wasn't so bad. But you don't have to deal with any parry in the endgame, so that's nice. That also means we can technically use something besides a buckler in our offhand. So I might go for a shield that has more block chance, because I'm kind of lazy and I don't really want to deal with having to parry. When it comes to your itemization, for right now, focus on just getting physical damage on your weapon. If you get anything beneficial like attack speed, that's great too. Early on, there was a little bit of a stat struggle, so if you happen to get any stat lines, such as dex, intelligence, or strength, those can be pretty helpful with getting your stuff for your requirements. Try and get any random resistances that you can get, and if you see any lines with physical damage, lightning damage, evasion, spirit, all attributes, critical chance, critical damage, charm slots, movement speed on boots especially, any of those things, just pick them up. I'll make sure to give you a very detailed itemization for the endgame. Hopefully you guys like this build. If you have any suggestions for me, feel free to comment them below, or just let me know what you think of the build. But on that note, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.
Subscribe to Scream Heart. He's more than an old fart. He makes lots of fun builds. I promise his streams chill. He should probably be faster. Come watch this disaster.